Welcome to the project. Tonight, do we need to break up with the big supermarkets, the shopping alternatives that are saving Aussies cash?
It was one of the biggest celebrity robberies in the world. Perez Hilton helps us unpack the Kim Kardashian jewellery heist as the grandpa robbers go on trial.
Plus, we have a laugh with British comedian Alan Davies and get giddy over homegrown NBA superstar Josh Giddey.
God, it's exciting. And how Aussies across the country are getting revenge for all those Trumpet of Patriots spam texts. Do not do what I do. I replied with the emojis eggplant, water squirt, eggplant. That made it so much worse. He sent a picture, so don't do that. Don't do that.
Sounds like my shopping list. We are live from the lands of the Kulin Nation and someone whose texts are always welcome.
Whoa.
It's Kate Langbrook.
Excited for Josh Giddey?
I am giddy.
You're giddy.
In fact, you're so giddy.
Yes.
You brought guests.
My 3 boys are here.
Look at them. There they are.
Oh, look
How
at them
exciting.
there.
I'm glad we panned in because it looked for a moment like you had about 48 kids.
Yeah, that's right. And by the way, if their father's watching, I'd like to know who you are.
Yeah, just get in touch.
Yeah, you know where to find me.
Let's get into tonight's top stories now. And a rough day for Peter Dutton. Anti-nuclear protesters disrupted his campaign event in the marginal New South Wales seat of Gilmore. He was also facing another clean-up at his electoral office after it was vandalised for a 3rd time in just 2 weeks. Housing was on the agenda as Anthony Albanese campaigned in Brisbane. The PM also demanded Dutton explain how he plans to pay for his election promises.
We put out the costings out there for all to see. Where's their costings?
We'll provide those costings in due course.
The parents of 2 Perth brothers have spoken out about their grief a year after their sons were murdered while on a surfing holiday in Mexico. Jake and Callum Robinson were on the trip of a lifetime with a friend when they were shot dead in a carjacking.
That they don't have a future. There's no more. It's a very hard thing to come to grips with. There's no...
We think of the future that they could have had, you know, as young men getting married and having families of their own.
To other news now, and it's hard to believe, but it's been almost a decade since the wild celebrity jewellery heist that stunned the world. Now, the men alleged to have tied up and robbed Kim Kardashian at gunpoint are facing justice.
Breaking overnight, a pretty scary situation for reality star Kim Kardashian West.
2 men held up Kim Kardashian at gunpoint inside her Paris hotel room.
Speculation is mounting about who could be behind the crime.
A 2016 jewellery heist worth more than $15 million, targeting one of the world's biggest stars.
I was Snapchatting that I was home and that everyone was going out. So I think they knew that I was there by myself.
5 masked men breaking into Kim Kardashian's Paris hotel, binding and gagging the reality TV icon, holding her at gunpoint while stealing her jewels, including a diamond engagement ring.
Kanye got me this 20-carat diamond ring, and I brought all of my jewels, everything I possibly had, to Paris with me.
Kim speaking out in the wake of the crime.
He grabbed me and pulled me towards him. So I was like, okay, this is the time I'm gonna get raped, just deal, it's gonna happen.
It just opened up my eyes that this happens and that there's, really bad people in this world.
Claiming the incident changed her to become less materialistic and flashy.
I feel like that was so meant to happen to me. I'm such a different person.
With most of the jewels never recovered, 10 men alleged to be behind the heist are facing trial, mostly in their 60s and 70s, and dubbed the grandpa robbers. Among them is Yunus Abbas, one of 2 who've confessed to the crime. Abbas even releasing a book titled I Kidnapped Kim Kardashian with his account of the robbery.
It'll happen naturally. I'll apologise. I've done it several times. I did it in my hearing, during TV interviews. I've always done it.
Kim herself is set to fly to France to testify next month.
Well, Perez Hilton is here to unpack all this with us. Perez, it's been nearly a decade. Just how wild was this story when it all went down?
I mean, it was so crazy because Kim was not in Paris by herself. She had security and she was staying at a hotel. And for this to have happened is multiple lapses in safety. And it could have turned out much worse. She feared for her life and said that on the Kardashians show. But then thankfully, 9 years later, hopefully justice is going to be served now. It took a long time because there were a lot of issues that came up over the years and just the sheer amount of investigation required, because starting yesterday, 10 men are on trial. It's going to be a 3+ week trial, and next month, Kim is expected to testify in Paris.
It all seemed so improbable at the time. Do you remember people were thinking that maybe it was a bit for the reality show? What were your memories when this all rolled out?
I know that Kim is a very polarizing person. I like her. I'm not ashamed to say that. Knowing her, I know she would not have made up something like this. Kanye West would. Kim Kardashian wouldn't. But, you know, they were together at the time, and one of the many pieces of jewelry stolen was her engagement ring. Just that piece alone was valued over $4 million, and it was never recovered.
It's a hell of a thing to go through, and Kim has spoken about PTSD from the incident. How much do you think that affected her?
It affected her so much that she took a nearly 3-month break from posting on social media. That's like 3 years for Kim Kardashian.
Well, she also said that it made her want to be less materialistic and show off less. Do you think those desires have been permanent?
You know, she's been less materialistic with jewelry, but she just channeled that materialism to now her private plane, which costs a lot more than $10 million.
Yes, but that's harder to steal.
True.
Well, in that private plane, Kim's on her way over to give evidence. How big do you think this trial is going to be?
I think the trial already is big, to my surprise, because it is something that happened such a long time ago. And I think one of the reasons why is there's a lot of heavy things happening in the world, especially in the US with politics. And while what happened to Kim 9 years ago was traumatic, this is something that's only going to be a few weeks and is a distraction from our real life problems.
Okay, Perez, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Well, fed up with being bombarded by texts from the Trumpet of Patriots party, Aussies have taken revenge on Harry Fong. Harry Fong is the Senate candidate who authorised the unsolicited messages. Frustrated voters have posted Harry's phone number online.
Oh, no.
Encouraging others to, and this is a quote, treat his inbox the way he treats yours. A Trumpet spokesperson says the texts are within the law, as political parties are exempt from the spam and privacy acts.
I've got a message from Harry Fong today.
Yeah, I got one this morning.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice someone's checking in. I kind of like it.
How many? Look, I've got heaps of them. How did he get my number?
Well, I mean...
My number's in the Fong phone.
What does that mean?
Why don't we
And the problem is you
Well, hang
can't...
on, I haven't got... Still, I'm not getting text messages from Mr. Fong.
Would you like one?
Yeah, what do you want?
Let's call his number.
Have you got it there?
Yeah, because they put it online.
Are you actually doing it?
This is a real call.
No message can be left on this service. 041.
I didn't want to be mean and give it out.
So it didn't even ring?
But why are people so outraged by this? I mean,
think
who looks at their phone so much anyway?
It's
Isn't it always
anxiety-inducing.
on Do Not Disturb?
No, I'm open to all messages, so I see it all.
I think the problem is there's no way to opt out.
Yeah.
So you are just totally at the mercy of it, and it just keeps hounding you, especially in your case. Kate.
Yeah, that's right.
He
Does it
can
make you
fob
want to
off
vote
if
for
you ask
the
me.
Trumpet of Patriots?
Let's see.
Got to take a break. We'll see you soon. Welcome back. This is The Project.
Well, Justin Trudeau's replacement, Mark Carney, has declared victory in Canada's federal election, securing a 4th term for his ruling Liberal Party. It's not clear if he'll win an outright majority. Results are still trickling in. Donald Trump loomed large in the election. Voters were faced with choosing a leader prepared to challenge the US over its trade war.
Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me?
Okay, let's see what else is making news now around the world.
A state of emergency has been declared in Spain after a huge outage left 60 million people without power. Portugal and parts of France were also impacted. Trains were cancelled, there was traffic gridlock, even the Madrid Open was suspended. Officials are blaming temperature variations and power supply issues, but the exact cause of the outage remains unclear. Cardinals from around the world will convene next Wednesday, May 7, to elect a new pope. 135 cardinals are eligible to take part in conclave and to cast their vote in the secret ballot. The past two conclaves in 2005 and 2013 lasted just 2 days. White smoke from the Vatican chimney will indicate a new pope has been chosen. And a kid in the Netherlands is doing serious time in the naughty corner after ruining a Rothko painting worth more than $88 million. Seems the child scratched the work. The museum is now working out how to fix what it says is superficial damage.
What?
What was it?
Where could you tell? Like,
What was it? I couldn't see it.
Was the red mark the thing?
Well, the damage was superficial.
Yeah, but
that's what it said.
I don't know, but God, that's worth a lot of money. That looks like rubbish to me.
Well, you
That's
know,
the real
because
story
he
that
does
someone's
those
saying that.
paintings just with blocks of colour.
Yeah, yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some say rubbish.
Some say rubbish. If I saw that out the back of, like, you know, a dumpster, I would leave it there.
Well, thank you for watching this episode of Art with Sam.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
It's time for a break. More Project after this.
Well, our favourite news detectives are back on your screens tonight, and as usual, they're bringing their trademark sense of decorum.
What can viewers expect, Tim? Well, something like this. Welcome back to the Cheap Seats, dogs.
Maybe a bit of this.
And that's all the time we have. Probably less of this. We don't need the asparagus.
And quite a lot of this.
So many memories.
That was so much better than I remembered.
Here they are. Please welcome Mel and Tim.
Lovely to see you both.
Are you?
And the rest of you.
Oh my God, this is a terrible
Were you welcoming yourselves?
Was there for a second? Sorry, I was reading the auto cue. Sorry.
Are you guys excited for the show tonight?
Oh, yeah. I was in the green room. I was having a little nap and I got woke up because Josh Giddey walked in. I was like, hello,
really?
hi. That was exciting.
Did you think you were dreaming?
Oh, yeah, I think I still am. Nice to see you two.
Oh, wow, you actually are asleep.
Oh, my God, you took a photo. Oh, no. I didn't actually think, I thought, oh, this would be funny to talk about, but I didn't realise it was actually someone, oh, no, this is a disaster.
We have a show to do in a couple of hours. I've been busily preparing, watching all the news from the last 6 months. I walk in and see my co-host just asleep on the couch.
And I'm preparing my mind and body to be at the peak performance for the show.
Self-care is the most important part.
Exactly. You could learn a thing from that, Tim. Maybe you should have a little nap now and
Tim,
again.
not off.
I'll be honest, I was watching a bit of the show earlier and I almost dozed off.
It's interesting. It's interesting you brought our show up just very quickly because so your show is called The Cheap Seats.
It is.
Now you used to film it in a different studio.
We did.
And now you've moved to this studio. You're going to be filming right after us, and you use our seats. So and you've still called the show Cheap Seats. What are you saying about our seats?
I'm saying they're incredibly cheap. Is what we're saying. That's right. Yeah, we've moved into your home, so thanks very much for letting us come in here. And this water hasn't been changed from the last time we filmed.
Yeah, I think this is from the Yarra, actually.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Trust that.
You know that your 6 months that you've had to prepare for your return tonight. What were the main news stories that you were like, oh, I wish we were on air for this?
This is the thing, is that because our show, we only really talk about the last 7 days. You guys, you wouldn't get it. Hard to be topical. But we basically, what will happen is we will finish the show for the year and then all of the funniest news will happen on our break. And there was one story that popped up at the end of January that I was furious that we weren't on air for.
What was that?
It was this beautiful story that took place in an airport. I think we have a clip of it.
Okay.
Or we don't.
Or maybe we don't have a clip
maybe
of it.
I was asleep. Where it is? Oh, this is a woman who mistook a
I remember this.
baggage carousel.
Yep. Beautiful.
For an escalator, and when that came up on the news, oh man, I had to,
It's a dark day.
I just had to take a quiet moment, just a moment of
Mel
silence.
had to have another nap.
Yeah, you just woke up, right?
Interestingly, she's a Russian woman, and when baggage handlers got her behind the scenes, they opened her up, and inside was an even smaller Russian. So, big story.
I feel like you haven't referred to the most obvious one that I would have loved to see you guys. The synchronised twins. Do you remember these women? Just a quick reminder.
Run, he's got a gun.
I mean, surely that's the greatest news story of the last 6 months.
It is great. And you know, Tim and I, we only sort of aspire to have that synchronicity. We do talk at the same time sometimes, but we're often saying the opposite for things.
So sometimes Mel will say something along the lines of...
I love New Zealand.
I hate New Zealand.
It's an amazing, incredible country and everyone should go there.
Yeah. What's the story there? So we haven't quite nailed it just yet.
Now, very quickly, before you go, you've come back just in time for the election. Now, you must be pumped about that.
Big time, big time. I don't know if you know, the election's on this week. I just got a couple of million texts from Clive Palmer. I'm just going to get back to him on that. Actually, I've got another text here. Oh, these are secret war plans from Pete Hegseth. So that's interesting. So lots to talk about. I don't know if you know, the Pope's unwell at the moment. So
still catching up. I've sort of been sleeping through most of the news.
To be honest, we're about to go off and check the news now. Mel's woken up. So big show tonight, 8:40 on 10.
Great.
And
I love that. We could see a little glimpse of Tim's acting there where he opened his phone and pretended that he had messages. That was really nice. That was kind of beautiful. That's sort of some people had been in touch with him. He sort of pretended to scroll. That was nice.
Here we go. Here's one there. Telstra, are you happy with your broadband service? Thrilled. I'll get back to them.
Oh, it's lovely that you reply to them.
It's nice, isn't it?
To do it on national TV is very good of you. You can catch the brand new season of Cheap Seats tonight, 8:40 p.m, Channel 10 or 10 Play. Would you please thank Mel and Tim?
The breakup that you might just need to have, how ditching the major supermarkets can improve your bank account. You're watching The Project. See you soon.
Back into The Project.
Let's get some more news now and a twist in the case of accused mushroom killer Erin Patterson. Prosecutors have dropped 3 attempted murder charges relating to her ex-husband. The 50-year-old is still facing 3 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder over a family lunch, allegedly laced with poison mushrooms. With a jury now empanelled, her trial gets underway tomorrow. Patterson has pleaded not guilty, having always maintained her innocence.
We've finally heard from the hero police officer who shot and killed the Bondi Junction attacker last year. Inspector Amy Scott has told an inquest into the tragedy that she thought Joel Cauchi was going to kill her when he ran at her with a knife. 2 friends, dubbed the Bollard Men, also gave evidence about confronting Cauchi. Today, the coroner thanked them for their extraordinary courage.
When I watched all the family who lost someone that day, it's just like, feel emotional for that.
We don't know if we would react the same way again, but we're not heroes. We just did what needed to be done.
Well, there isn't much that Aussies seem to agree on these days, but there's one topic guaranteed to unite us all. Supermarket prices have gone through the roof, but could a cheaper option have been right under our noses all along?
That's their job, is to convince us that they're more convenient and that they're more affordable.
Kelly Donati is from sustainable food group Sustain and reckons independent grocers trump the big supermarkets.
A lot of people just assume the supermarket is cheaper. It's absolutely not the case.
To prove her point, Kelly picked up a basket of fruit, veg and some pantry staples at her local outer suburb store, and the same at Woolworths. Her findings, more than 70% of items cost more at Woolies. Bananas, cucumbers, garlic, zucchini, red capsicum, around twice as expensive. As for tomatoes, they cost 4 times as much.
I just was so shocked that tomatoes would cost that much money at this time of year.
Items where Woolies held its own: potatoes, pasta, passata, Serena tuna and feta cheese, but never by more than 10 to 15%, just a few cents. The total cost of Kelly's food shop at Woolworths, $124.70. At her local, $99.80.
Not only did we spend more, but when we weighed all of the produce, we actually got less food for more money at the supermarket.
But industry experts reckon the evidence isn't there to say the big supermarkets are more expensive overall.
It's difficult to generalise from one example. Surveys generally find the independent grocers a bit dearer. Products may not be quite the same in terms of quality, brand.
I'd be surprised at them being cheaper.
You know, I think these major supermarkets have been ripping us off for a long time.
We asked Woolies about Sustain's findings.
It's difficult to make like-for-like comparisons between our supermarkets, which offer equal access to groceries for customers in hundreds of communities, and small grocers, which operate 1 or 2 stores.
And if you're wondering who to believe, you're not alone. Calls now growing for a supermarket prices commission to be established to investigate price-setting practices and the market power of the major supermarkets.
You buy so much more for maybe $50. It goes a long way. If they've got some really good specials, I wouldn't mind pulling out the wallet for that.
You might have caught a glimpse of Matt Grudnoff in that story. He's senior economist at the Australia Institute and he's one of those calling for a prices commission. Matt, thanks for your time. So can you solve this mystery for us? Are local independent fruit and veg stores better value?
They could absolutely possibly be better value. The problem is that the big supermarkets don't want you to be able to compare prices, because if you could, then you could probably buy cheaper and they wouldn't make as much profit. And we know from just an ACCC report just last month that they are some of the most profitable supermarkets in the world.
And why is it so difficult to prove which is cheaper? Because, like, there's prices. Does that, do you know what I mean? Like, you see the price, but it is a problem. Yeah. Like, we can't prove why.
Tangible.
Yeah, why is it so difficult?
Because they set the whole system up so you can't. So imagine what Coles and Woolworths could have a website where they put all their prices up and then you could go there and you could compare with some other supermarkets and you could do it all online and then you could go out and do your shopping. They don't do that. Because that would make it easy and they don't want you to do that. And also they have all sorts of other tricks. They give you lots of different options, even though some of those options were probably made in the same factory using the same inputs, and all the difference is the packaging, in order to sort of confront you with lots of choice, and then you might basically default to, well, what did I buy last time, and not worry about price. Oh.
So, Matt, how would a prices commission help?
Well, a prices commission, at the moment the ACCC, people might not know, can only really investigate prices if the Parliament tells them to, or if they think there's some kind of illegal activity. But that's a really high bar to go and investigate. A prices commission would basically be there all the time to look into prices if they think something weird is happening, something unusual. And then they'd be able to report back to the Australian people, they'd be able to report back to the Parliament, they'd be able to tell us what's going on with prices, which could lead to better legislation that could better control the big supermarkets and make them compete on price.
Now, Matt, got to ask, where do you get your groceries?
Oh, that's good. Well, I'm an economist, so I'm terribly boring, so I go to Aldi and anything I can't get there, then I go and look elsewhere. But yeah, look, I'm the kind of boring, 5% of the population that really do just pick price, and I don't care about brands, I don't care about all that sort of stuff. But I accept that I'm a boring economist.
Also, if you need a laptop, a whippersnipper and some bacon, it's the best place to go.
Yeah. Although I tend to avoid the middle aisle. That seems like a place where I can just waste money.
Oh, Matt, where are you going to buy your clarinet?
That's exactly right.
We'll let you think about that, Matt. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for chatting with me.
Got to get the clarinet. It's so important to get the clarinet. I mean, of course. Now, sticking with groceries, guys, check out this red-hot observation Peter Dutton made today when he was campaigning in a farmer's market. Okay.
It's just an enormous number of product lines, really.
OK, someone needs to reset his hardware before we get to the election day, OK? Product lines. Anyway, now, politics can be a dirty business, guys. Your enemies are always close. For example, look at this wild roast from the cameraman. OK, there's Dutton. Oh, come on, mate.
Oh, no.
That's not on.
Oh, we know what you're doing.
Come on, mate. How dare you? Peter Dutton does not look like a product line, OK? Outrageous. Meanwhile, PM Anthony Albanese, he made a surprise appearance at a food market in Brisbane. Now Albo's getting cocky. He's surrounded by too many yes men. I don't like it. Luckily, there's still a few folks out there keen to bring him down a peg.
I think he's a very decent man and got good heart.
Okay.
Yes, he's a legend. I feel very excited.
Yeah, just here for lunch, to be honest.
Hell yeah, dude. That's what it's all about. You got to trust your gut in politics. His says he wants hot chips. I respect that.
All right, there's more Project on the way. See you soon. Project.
Well, in her first ever podcast interview, a candid Meghan Markle has opened up about family life, early dating with Prince Harry, and why she's over trying to live up to expectations.
I am just so
done with the prove it game. When you get to the place where you feel
interesting,
I don't have to prove anything to you anymore.
Dressed in trackies, the at times emotional Duchess of Sussex also revealed a little ritual she started.
So I'd created for the kids these email addresses that sort of like names, again, that you would never guess, that I will give them at some point in their lives when they're older. But before I go to bed almost every night, I email them.
Wow. I don't
I've
know.
got 48,000 unread emails.
That's
That's
insanity.
A mother doing that is a curse, not a
That's
blessing.
no way to live.
Just send a meme and be done with it. And there's a push underway for 3 payphones across Australia to be heritage listed. One is in the remote community of Doomadgee in far north Queensland. The second is in the New South Wales town of Narooma, which was impacted by the Black Summer bushfires. And the third in the Melbourne suburb of Brunswick West. The idea is to ensure that the payphone's cultural and social significance is recognised. I love this.
I love this too.
This is good.
Are they really
stuff.
going to acknowledge the true significance of a cultural, the use of a payphone in inner city Melbourne?
Wait, what's that for?
can you drop the gear over? That's really...
I've never had one of those phone calls, Caitlin.
The one around the corner from our house gets a lot of foot traffic.
I was thinking we
right.
could have a lovely kind of,
nice
nostalgic talk
moment.
about 1-800 reverse.
Well, we could.
No, instead you just defamed Dave Hughes. That's what that sounded like.
Yeah, right. Wow. God.
Oh, that's lovely. I like that.
I love
It's
them.
like when they took away the pay booths off the Sydney Harbour Bridge. I think
They should have left them.
Oh, that you would pay as you went past.
Kids used to have to put like money, and they go, "We know, Mum, you tell us every time."
Yeah. They've missed the boat on a few. They should have done this to Video Easy or
Yes.
Sizzler. Like, they've really
Yeah.
missed out on a few great Australian things.
Let's start a campaign.
Yeah, bring
All
back
right, we don't
Sizzler.
have time
I'm
right
hungry.
now. Okay, our next guest has one of the most quick-witted minds in comedy.
Actor, stand-up, and QI godfather Alan Davies has been delivering laughter into our living rooms for nearly 3 decades.
They used cattle. I know that was a stand-up routine I did. That's not true.
He's also found time to write 2 best-selling memoirs, a feat juggled alongside some of TV's biggest gigs.
This is how this is going to end. Brilliant. I'm going to asphyxiate in a mangle in a soft play in front of my 2-year-old. That's how this is going to end. Brilliant.
Now Alan has cleared his schedule long enough for a long-awaited Aussie tour.
And he joins us now from London. Would you please welcome Alan Davies? Alan, wonderful to have you on the show. Your first stand-up tour in 10 years, which I believe is almost as long as our delay to you tonight. How are you feeling about being surrounded by 26 million Aussie accents for 3 weeks straight?
I'm very much looking forward to it as I join you in a glass bubble suspended over the Thames, like David Blaine. If this interview goes wrong, they just drop me like a witch to see if I am one.
That's very good.
Wow. Would you float?
I'm trying to get this right. I'm trying to get the lines right, and then I can hear the laughing, which at the moment I think is an act of reassurance on your part.
And how weird that the laughter's coming from tomorrow, from where you are, 10 seconds delayed. Anyway, hey, Alan, do you know what? If you search your name on YouTube, it comes up with titles like Alan has a meltdown or Alan won't stop telling bad jokes. So what I want to know is, what's your best bad joke? What do you got?
I don't really have any jokes, but by the time I get to Australia, I will have thought of some observations. I didn't even realise it had been 10 years. I've got 3 kids, and I feel like I was in Australia about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And something's happened to that time. And I knew I was getting a bit older because I took my youngest to see Back to the Future, the musical, which he loved, by the way. I said, what was your best bit? He said, all of it. And I bought him the brochure, and he was going through it, and there was a big picture of the actor who played Doc Brown, you know, the crazy scientist in Back to the Future, and he looked at the Doc Brown, and he looked at me, and he looked back at Doc Brown, and he basically said, that's you, that is. And I said, I'm not Doc Brown. I marked him at fly. I used to have a skateboard. And then I found out that Christopher Lloyd, when he played Doc Brown in the original film, was 47 years old. I am now 59. I'm 12 years too old to be the crazy scientist in Back to the Future. So I need to get this tour in. I don't think there's room on television for many people over 60, but comedians, I feel, get better when they get older, right?
Okay.
Oh, good theory.
That's good to know.
Good theory.
Well, partly it sounds like you might want to get
no agreement there. I'm getting no agreement.
you might want to get away from your kids. But what else are we in for with this stand-up show?
The kids are coming. The kids are coming.
Oh.
I'm going to tour in November and December. And then Katie, my wife, and the 3 kids are all coming. We're going to have Christmas in Australia. We have my cousins are in Australia. I love Australia, as you know, I've been many times. So they're all coming for Christmas in Australia. So I'm going to do the shows. And sometimes I think, is it the right idea to go in the summer when everyone wants to be outside? But my experience of Australia is, when it comes to the summer, everyone goes inside because they're all frightened of the sun. So I think it's quite a good time.
Good.
Yeah, that's probably true. Now, mate, you're one of the UK's top TV panellists. You're on all the panel shows. You're a huge star over there. We're all sitting on a panel right now. What would you say is the secret to being a good panellist?
You lot know what you're doing. You're doing a fine job. But the most important thing, if you're on a show like QI, where you have no idea what the question is or what's happening, is if you think of something, just say it. And you're in trouble because you're live. But me, I just trust the editor. Many libelous and disgraceful things have been said.
Excellent. That sounds like wonderful advice.
Yeah, that is wonderful advice. Get an editor, basically, is what it sounds like.
Well, listen, the pre-sale for Alan's tour, it starts on Thursday. All the info is on our website. Would you please thank Alan Davies?
Bravo. What a crown. So good. All right, watching the project back soon. Watching the project.
Well, our next guest might just be the most famous Australian on the planet right now.
The Oklahoma City Thunder select Josh Giddey from Melbourne, Australia.
Josh Giddey's the homegrown star, absolutely dominating the NBA.
Giddy up.
His first 4 years were big, but it wasn't until his trade to the legendary Chicago Bulls last year that things got truly mind-blowing.
Giddy, a deep three!
Achieving highlight after highlight after highlight.
Giddy, pull up three!
Oh, good day, mate.
Driving to Watson. Josh Giddey open for 3.
Oh, bang, bang, bang.
All backed up by an impressive stat sheet, becoming one of only 3 players this season to record 1,000 points, 500 rebounds and 500 assists.
Giddy, a big night tonight. It's 28 points and a triple-double.
And of course, this insane half-court buzzer beater in the face of one of the game's greatest ever
2
players.
seconds left. Giddy for the win!
Go! My God! I cannot believe this! Elizabeth! I'm coming, baby!
Oh, still such an incredible moment. Would you please welcome Josh Giddey? We have to talk about that shot.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, like, how many times have you watched that back?
Yeah, a lot. I've seen it a lot. And, you know, especially the night that it happened, because it happened in real time, you don't get to enjoy it as much. But after the game, I did sit down and watch it a fair few times.
Did you know it was in as soon as it left your fingers?
Yeah, I did. And that's why I kind of walked and I held my follow-through as I walked. And a funny story, I was actually walking right to my 2 best friends. They were sitting in the crowd and I was walking directly at them as the shot was going in. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was actually a really cool moment, but it felt good as soon as it left my hand, yeah.
Was this the kind of thing you'd done? You know, like at school, there's always this incredible basketballer who does this from half court.
Yeah.
Were you that kid?
Well, I mean, I feel like every kid that plays basketball practices, you know, hitting these game-winning shots in the driveway all the time. And I was the same. I used to do it all the time. And to do it, you know, in the NBA is obviously a different story to in the driveway. But no, it's that same feeling you get. But yeah, obviously on the stage.
Sorry,
like
it's the same feeling?
As a young kid, when you hit a game winner in the driveway, it feels great, but maybe not the same.
So what you're saying, if you're a kid who's done that in the driveway, you've peaked. This is as good.
also, can I say, there's an 8-year-old that lives next door to me, and you're his favourite player, and because of you, every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. he's got a basketball, and I'm going to kill this kid. I can't sleep in on a Sunday, and it's your fault.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So.
Well, you would have been a bouncing kid.
Oh
obviously.
yeah, all through the house, and I grew up around basketball from a young age. So my parents played and coached, and I always had a ball in my hand from a very young age. So my parents got sick of me bouncing in the house, and I never wanted to put the ball down.
And like now, when you've come home for the off season, where do you go to? Are you staying with your parents? Have you got an apartment? Are you still driving your neighbours mad with your bouncing? Like, what do you do when you come back to Australia?
Yeah, I stay out in Hampton. I work out in Cheltenham, so we have a facility out there called Hoop City, and it's right by my house where I stay at. But I'm from the west side, so I'm from Yarraville, so it's a far drive to go from there to where I work out every day. So got a place in Hampton and stay out there in the off season.
And what's the reaction in Australia versus how you must be perceived everywhere in America?
Yeah, it's a little different. I mean, I think America's just used to seeing, they grow up kind of around athletes and, famous people, so to say. So I guess they're not as surprised as back here. There's not as many I don't want to call myself like a global or worldwide known name or anything like that, but they don't get to see, people from America as much because I'm only back here for a couple of months.
And you're quite tall.
Yeah, so
you can't tell, but we're actually the same height. You can't tell,
How tall are you?
6'8".
Did you ever consider becoming an electrician or something like that?
No,
or was basketball always on the cards?
Basketball was plan A, B, and C, so I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah. Did you play other sport? Did you play footy? You a Melbourne boy. Did you play Aussie rules?
Footy, cricket, basketball. I played tennis as a young kid as well. So I played it all, and when I got to probably 15, 16, I had to decide between footy and basketball, and I obviously chose basketball.
What could have been? You could have been an AFL player, dude. You missed out.
Trust me, I think about it all the time.
Yeah, because that salary cap's going up.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have...
I know.
What's it like? So you're like a Western Suburbs boy from Yarraville. Now you play in the NBA. It's like, one of the biggest sporting things in the world. There's so many hoops and dazzle about it all. And you're playing next to like LeBron James, Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Is it surreal at all times, or do you actually get used to that?
No, it is because, I was a kid, then I used to look up to those guys, and I was no different to a lot of the kids in Australia that play basketball and watch the NBA and look up to guys like LeBron and Steph.
Yeah.
And, the first time I ever stepped on the floor with them, it's a pretty surreal feeling. You're a bit starstruck, but, after a while, 3-4 years in, you start to get used to it, and you're around it. I played in Oklahoma with a guy that's probably going to win the MVP this year. So you're around superstars all the time, and it is a cool feeling because I had a poster still in my house in Yarraville of, it's LeBron, Steph, Katie, all these guys were on my bedroom wall when I was a young kid. So it's a really cool feeling getting to play against them.
Totally. Who was your team in NBA Jam? Did you ever play that?
No, I didn't actually. No, I knew all about it, but I never actually played it.
I was too busy playing.
That's the real thing. Hey, you've earned the nickname the Slob Wizard.
Oh, God. Yeah. It's slob basically means sideline out of bounds in our basketball.
That's what you would have us believe.
Yeah, so that's kind of where the nickname came from because I'm okay at passing the ball from out of bounds, and the name kind of came that way. So sideline out of bounds is what slob stands for.
You put yourself together quite well, I thought. You're not slob.
No, well, hopefully not. No.
Well, in fact, your fashion's become a bit of a thing. And I think more so maybe since you've left Oklahoma City and gone to the Bulls. Is that look?
There's not much of that in Yarraville, I'll tell you that.
No, there's not.
That's the blue steel you're doing there.
Yeah.
Dude, you're looking good.
Yeah. No, thank you.
And how's that coming about?
Yeah, I mean, the NBA kind of turned into a bit of I don't want to say like a fashion show or anything, but pre-game, there's cameras all through the tunnels when we're walking into the arenas. So guys started to get dressed up. And my first 2 years, I had nothing to do with it. I used to wear trackies and hoodies to games. But my third and fourth year, I started to really, buy into it a little more. And I started enjoying it, buying clothes and putting together outfits. And now I've got, just a ridiculous amount of clothes in the house. And, but I loved it. And I think it's a big part of the NBA, buying clothes and wearing different outfits into arenas. So I've embraced it and something I love doing.
Just quickly, before we let you get out of here, thank you for coming in. I always refer to the NBA as the poor man's NBL. That's kind of how I like to look at it. Is there a world where you could ever play in the NBL?
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to finish my career here. It's something I've always said, right from when I started my career in the NBL at 17 in Adelaide, and then when I'm hopefully at the end of my career done in the NBA, I'd love to come back here and finish it.
And just even quicker, before we go, LeBron or MJ? Who's your pick?
Oh, MJ. I mean, I'm with the Bulls. It's
Okay,
got to be MJ. Yeah.
Is it because you're with the Bulls you said that?
Well, no. Like, I've always... I never got to see MJ play. He was before my time, so I've only ever grown up watching LeBron, so it's hard for me to compare the two, but as a Bulls guy, I've got to go with MJ.
Thanks for coming in.
We're giddy people.
Yeah, we are. We're giddy gals. Josh Giddey, everyone.
That's it for us tonight. Peter Kent Labour here, and that's it, Australia now. See you around. Bye.